To say that the foundation in New England is perceived to be on shaky ground right now. Notice I said perceived. Perceived by some to be on shaky ground right now would be an understatement. I don't think there's ever been an earthquake in Boston. But if you read the headlines, or if you've been on Twitter, or if you've been listening to the media the last couple of days, you would think that the New England Patriots are beginning to crumble from top to bottom. As we expected, we are seeing a small number of NFL players opt out of the 2020 season due to concerns over the coronavirus. No one should be shocked by this. This isn't surprising news. Guys with medical conditions or that have family members with medical conditions, players in these situations were all but expected not to play this year. We're starting to see headlines like, "The NFL season's on the brink, with players beginning to opt out." The NFL season's just fine. It ain't going anywhere. Losing 25 players across the league is not a cause for concern. I'm also seeing things on Twitter about the Patriots, who have had 6 players drop out this season, by far the most of any other team in the league at this point. People are starting to question, could we be witnessing the end of the Patriots dynasty? Well, first of all, the Patriots dynasty is over. The dynasty ended the second that Tom Brady signed in Tampa. You don't lose a franchise quarterback or a superstar player and the dynasty just goes on and continues. That's not how it works. Once Michael Jordan left the Bulls, the dynasty was over. When Kobe Bryant retired with the Lakers, dynasty over. When Troy Aikman retired in Dallas, the Cowboys' 90s dynasty was over. So the dynasty in New England ended earlier this offseason. The question I think we need to be answering is, with all of these players deciding to opt out, are Bill Belichick and the Patriots in trouble this season? Are the players opting out strictly due to health-related issues, or is something else going on here? And could Bill Belichick be hit with his first losing season in New England since 2000, his first year with the Patriots? Those are the questions that I'm going to answer today. Let's start with the players that have decided to opt out. As of the time that I'm recording this video on Wednesday night, the 6 players who have opted out in New England are Dante Hightower, Patrick Chung, Marcus Cannon, Brandon Bolden, Dan Vitale, and Najee Turan. Hope I pronounced that last guy's name right. Now, 3 of those players on that list are meaningless in terms of on-the-field impact. Brandon Bolden is a backup to the backup at running back. He had 15 carries all of last season. He's had a total of 239 rushing attempts in his 8-year career. The Patriots are not going to miss him. Danny Vitale, he is a fullback. The Patriots picked him up this offseason. Now, as we all know, the fullback position in the NFL is all but extinct. Once again, his absence is not going to be felt by the Patriots. And Najee Turan was on the practice squad. I don't think that even requires an explanation. There are 3 players on the list, though, that have been critical in the past to the Patriots' success. 3 veterans with big voices and leadership qualities in the locker room. Dante Hightower, Patrick Chung, and Marcus Cannon. Hightower and Chung are leaders on the defensive side of the ball, and Marcus Cannon is an all-pro on the offensive line. Now, I've seen various things on Twitter, various conspiracy theories that we'll call them, as to other reasons besides health concerns that these veteran players had decided to opt out. Some people actually believe that they got together and colluded and opted out because Tom Brady is no longer in New England. Now, some of you are probably thinking, what does that matter? I mean, players come and go in the NFL all the time. So what does Tom Brady not being in New England anymore have to do with these guys opting out, not wanting to play for Bill Belichick? Well, Bill Belichick is notoriously hard to play for. And while Tom Brady was in New England, he was kind of a player's representative, if you will, to Belichick. he could express the concerns of the team or ease Belichick's temper. Now that he's gone, the voice of the players, it's believed, has left with him. So the theory is these guys got together and decided that it just wasn't worth it to deal with Belichick and risk catching coronavirus, so they opted out instead. Another theory I've seen floating around. For the first time in these guys' career, New England is entering the season and they are not a Super Bowl contender. I know that the Patriots picked up Cam Newton, but it's possible, maybe even likely, that Jarrett Stidham is going to be given a shot and will be the starting quarterback at least to start the season. So these veteran players didn't think it was worth the risk of catching coronavirus and playing on a team that's being led by Jarrett Stidham that does not have a chance at winning the Super Bowl. Hell, the Patriots right now, they're not even the favorites to win the AFC East. I understand kind of why people are floating these theories around. It's possible maybe each one or maybe one or the other had a little bit of impact on the decision of Dante Hightower, Patrick Chung, and Marcus Cannon to sit out the season. I just don't believe it. I don't buy it. I think all three of their decisions were solely health related. That's what they based it on. I mean, Marcus Cannon, he is a lymphoma survivor. Dante Hightower, he just had a child and has members of his family that are susceptible to coronavirus. And Patrick Chung is about to have his second child. So they don't want to risk getting their children sick. Three very good reasons not to play in 2020. I get it. But what else do all three of these guys have in common? They have made their money. They have made their millions. It's not going to hurt them financially to not play this season. The loss of Patrick Chung stings the Patriots just a little bit, but it's just not that big of a deal. He's getting older. He's not in his prime anymore. He was expected to be scaled back this season anyway. Now, losing Dante Hightower, that is a huge loss for the Patriots defense. Add on to that, they lost Calvin Oy and Jamie Collins in free agency. With those three guys out, the Patriots are losing 47% of their 281 quarterback disruptions from last season. New England was going to struggle rushing the passer with Dante Hightower on the field. Now that number one defense from last season is in jeopardy. They are going to be worse. It is going to look like a completely different Patriots defense this season. Does this mean that Bill Belichick and the Patriots are in trouble going into this season? Could we see the Patriots have a losing season for only the second time in the Belichick era? I don't think so. Actually, I think the Patriots are going to be just fine. I don't think there's cause for concern at all. In the year that I have been doing this channel, and even in my 20 years of betting on the NFL, there is one motto I have always lived by. Never doubt Bill Belichick. You don't doubt Bill Belichick. The guy always finds a way to win. Now, he may cheat, and he may get caught years later, but one way or the other, Bill Belichick always finds a way to win. There is a silver lining to this dark cloud in New England. They suddenly had nearly $25 million of freed up cap space to work with. Now, I know Jadeveon Clowney is angling towards rejoining Bradley McDougald in New York with the Jets. And there have been no reports that the Patriots are interested in him thus far. But do you really think that Bill Belichick isn't going to make a push to sign Jadeveon Clowney? Especially now that he has lost Dante Hightower, his captain on the defense. You think Bill Belichick's just not going to go after Jadeveon Clowney? I don't. But even if they sign Jadeveon Clowney, the biggest issue right now for New England defensively is the lack of depth at linebacker. Jawan Bentley is expected to take over Dante Hightower's spot, but there's really not much left behind him. Now, Belichick could go after Mark Barron, who remains a free agent. He could go after Clay Matthews, who is nowhere near the player that he was 6, 7, 8 years ago. but he would replace the leadership void left by Dante Hightower. My point is, this isn't as big of a deal as people are making it out to be. Losing these three guys is not the end of the world for Bill Belichick. This isn't some insurmountable obstacle that Bill Belichick's not going to be able to overcome. It's not like he hasn't been hit with losing players before and all of a sudden the Patriots just started losing games. Tell me a time when that has happened in the Belichick era. He lost Tom Brady week 1 back in 2008, led Matt Castle to an 11-5 record. Tom Brady was suspended first 4 games of the 2016 season. Patriots go 3-1. I mean, we're talking about a coach in Belichick that finds diamonds in the rough. It is always next man up in New England. He finds players that no one thought would be stars and turns them into stars. Danny Woodhead, Julian Edelman, Danny Amendola, Asante Samuel, Tom Brady, Rob Gronkowski, Devin McCourty, Deion Branch, Richard Seymour. I could go on and on all day long. We have a 20-year track record of success with Bill Belichick. So my thing is, when did anyone get into the business of doubting him? This time next year, we will be talking about a guy that is unknown right now, being the new star in New England. The Patriots are going to be just fine this season. Now, I'm not going to go out on a limb and say that they're Super Bowl contenders, but they're most definitely playoff contenders. Bill Belichick didn't bring in Cam Newton to sit him on the bench with a clipboard in his hand. Eventually, if he's not starting week 1, eventually Cam Newton is going to be the starter for the Patriots. But Belichick's specialty is defense. That's why I find it puzzling that people everywhere are so concerned about the Patriots right now. Bill Belichick is a defensive genius. He will find a way to make the defense work. 20 years in New England. Belichick has been top 10 defensively 16 of those 20 years. Number 1 overall 3 times. Again, the Patriots are going to be fine. Everyone just needs to relax. Is it a blow to lose Dante Hightower? Of course it is. But Patrick Chung and Marcus Cannon, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Both have been plagued by injuries in recent years. Both are past their prime. Bill Belichick will find someone to step in and replace them, or he'll go out and sign someone who can. The Patriots are not going to be a sub-500 team this season. They are not going to be a losing team. They will be contending for the AFC East, just like they have every year for the past 20 years. All right, that's all for today. Make sure to smash that like and subscribe button for me. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Leave me a comment in the section below. With all these players opting out so far in New England, do you think the Patriots are in trouble this season? Let me know your thoughts. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. If you have any questions or a topic you'd like me to cover, you can email me at BTLKC84@gmail.com. I'll see you guys next time.